Hello everyone, my name is Luke Kennedy and I'm so pleased to be with you today. Coming up in English, we'll learn about thinking, saying and doing verbs. And in maths, we'll learn about our currency and how we can use it to buy things. Finally, in science, we'll explore the relationships between plants and animals. So make sure that you're sitting comfortably and you're feeling really focused. The authors of our favourite stories create pictures in our minds using only words. That's right, no paint or crayons or photos, just words. Next up, Pascal is going to show you how verbs, that is doing, thinking and saying verbs, create pictures of what's happening in a story and show us what characters are thinking and feeling.
Hello. When authors write, they think carefully about the words they use to paint pictures of what is happening to characters, including their actions and emotions. Today, we're going to focus on how writers create these pictures using verbs. You know that verbs are words that show action. They are an excellent way to create images for the reader and give information about the storyline or plot and the characters' traits and feelings. They also show how a character grows or changes throughout a story, and they create the right mood in a story. For example, the verbs cried, screamed, and frowned tell the reader that the character is unhappy or even frightened, whereas the verbs smiled, danced, and excited paint a much happier picture. Remember that verbs can be doing, saying, thinking, or relating words. Doing verbs show actions such as she climbed the ladder. Saying verbs show talking. For example, watch out for the snake, yelled the man. Thinking verbs show feelings and thoughts like he wondered what was happening. And relating verbs show the relationship between two things. For example, am, is, are, was, were, and had. The koala is an Australian mammal. Let's put our knowledge to the test and see if we can correctly identify if a verb is a doing, saying, or thinking verb. What about the word dance? That's a doing word, isn't it? How about wish? That's a thinking verb. What about the word love? That's a feeling, isn't it? So it belongs with thinking verbs. Here's a tricky one. What about the word laughed? I wonder if you think laughed is a doing or saying verb. Well, depending on how it's used, it can be both. For example, he laughed at the funny joke is a doing verb, and laughed as a saying verb could be written this way: that joke was funny, he laughed. Let's see how verbs are used in a story. This story is called A Verb for Herb, and it tells the story of Herb, a hippo from the burbs or the suburbs. As we read, notice how the different types of verbs are used to show how Herb is acting and feeling. In this story, Herb, the hippo from the burbs, rides a roller coaster of emotions. He just doesn't know how to feel: unhappy, hopeful, hesitant, or happy. Help is needed to find a verb for Herb. Help! Can you find the doing, thinking, and saying verbs that show how Herb was feeling? Some of the verbs have been highlighted for you. See how many more you can find. Herb, the unhappy hippo. Herb wasn't happy. His best mate, Harry, had left town. They had always enjoyed playing music together and jamming, but now there was no one. Herb ran to his room. He hated being all alone. He sighed. What will I do? Did you notice the highlighted verbs? Herb, the hopeful hippo. The next day, Herb was reading the local newspaper. There was a story about a jungle band who loved playing music and they were looking for new members. He downloaded some of their music. It was just what he loved to play. He decided to give it a go. Herb read the newspaper. He hoped he would be good enough to join. He asked his parents how he could find them, and they said to try the internet. Herb, the hesitant hippo. After many weeks of searching, Herb finally found the famous jungle band. Oh, he couldn't help but dance to their fabulous music. Herb's hips swayed and his feet tapped in time to the music. The jungle band was fantastic. Herb didn't know if he was good enough. What should he do? He tiptoed up to the band leader. He thought that everyone was staring at him. He whispered, "I would like to join your jungle band." Herb, the happy hippo. The band leader looked at Herb. He had noticed how Herb's hips had swayed in time to the beat of the music. He realised that Herb was very musical. He welcomed Herb with outstretched arms. Herb somersaulted in the air. He loved the jungle band. He shouted, "Thank you so much." The end. What a great story with so many vivid verbs. Choosing the right verbs can make our writing really effective. Let's look at some sentences and see if we can improve or enhance them by choosing a better verb. To enhance your writing means to make it better or more meaningful. For example, instead of using the word said, you can enhance the writing by using whispered or scoffed or snorted. All right, here's our sentence. They saw a dark shadow in the distance. It does sound interesting, but we can enhance it. How about they glimpsed a dark shadow in the distance? Here's another one. She thought of the answer to the riddle. You could enhance it by saying she solved the answer to the riddle, or she unravelled the answer to the riddle. See how writing can be improved by thinking carefully about the verbs we use. Well, today I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Have a look at a piece of writing you've done. See what verbs you've used and try to think of better verbs to enhance your character's actions and feelings. Well, that's it for today. See you next time.
It's now time for maths. Did you know that each country has its own money? Some countries use the British pound or the Japanese yen, and in countries like Canada, Singapore, New Zealand and Australia, we use the dollar. The correct term for money is currency, and here in Australia we have some very beautiful notes and coins that we use to buy and sell. Annie will tell us more.
Hi there. Have you ever collected pocket money or paid for something using cash? Cash is another name for notes and coins. In Australia, we have a very colourful set of notes and coins. Let's have a look at my toy set of Australian notes and coins. Wow, they look almost exactly like the real thing. All the coins have a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on one side, as well as the $5 note. All the notes have very important Australians who have been honoured. Money amounts can be written in different ways and are not always written in the same way every time you see them. For example, here is a $5 note, a 20-cent coin, and a 10-cent coin. Altogether, I have $5.30. I can write this amount using all words, using numbers and words, using numbers and symbols for dollars and cents, and using numbers and the dollars symbol only. But the most common way to write an amount of money is like this: $5.30. I have 3 20-cent pieces, 1 10-cent coin, and 1 5-cent coin. Altogether, I have 75 cents. I can represent 75 cents in other ways using coins. I can swap 2 20-cent coins and 1 10-cent coin for a 50-cent coin, and it still adds up to 75 cents. I can also swap the 20-cent coin for 2 10-cent coins, and I will still have 75 cents. There are many ways I can represent 75 cents. Let's try this again with a larger amount of money, like $13.20. I can swap the $10 note for 2 $5 notes and the $2 coin for 2 $1 coins. I still have $13.20. Being able to make different combinations of money is a really important skill. For example, if we can't pay for things in exact money when we go shopping, we will receive change. In other words, change is the money you get back if you hand over more money than the price of an item. This cap costs $17. I can't use this $10 note to pay for the cap because I will be short. But I can use this $20 note because it's $3 more than the cap. So I will get $3 change. This book is $5.90. I don't have exactly $5.90 in my purse, so I'm going to pay with 3 $2 coins. That's $6, which is more than the $5.90. I should get change. How much change do you think I will get? I will get 10 cents change because the $5.90 and 10 cents adds up to $6. Wow, there's a lot to know about money. Let's go over what we've learned. Australian currency includes notes and coins. We can use different combinations of notes and coins to pay for things. You might like to set up a shop and practice giving change using toy money. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Well, I hope you enjoyed reading and recording dollars and cents in maths. I'm going to count all the coins that I have in my jar at home and see how many notes I could have. Now it's time to hear from some kids around Queensland. Lots of kids have been reading many books in preparation for the Premier's Reading Challenge. I'm sure that you have your favourite book too.
Oh, hi guys, I'm Isaac. We've been getting to know students from all across Queensland by asking them some fun questions. Reading's one of my favourite things to do, so today we wanted to know what their favourite book was. Here are some of the awesome responses we've received.
My favourite book is Diary of a Minecraft Enderman. And the name is Mosh Madness.
My favourite book is The Magic Faraway Tree because there's 4 children that go on the top of a tree and find mysterious places that they can have fun.
My favourite book is Bonnie and Sam Horse Crazy because I love to read about horses.
My favourite book is Juliet Nearly a Vet by Rebecca Johnson. It has a lot of science ideas, and the fun part is that my science teacher at school actually wrote it.
Definitely Grandpa's Great Escape by David Williams, because David Williams is really good at painting a picture in your mind and still keeping it really, really exciting and funny.
My favourite book is Sippy and Sunny the Hidden Kingdom. And I also like it because it has bright and bold colours and it also looks realistic.
This is my favourite book, Broom on the Broom. I like the witch and I like the cat.
I've been reading Funny Kid, Slapstick by Matt Stanton, Alice Miranda by Jacqueline Harvey, and Alice from the Australian Girl series by Davina Bell. My favourite book is Mother Knows Best. So it's Disney, about Mother Gothel, but it still has a couple nice twists in it.
My favourite book is about plastics.
The story I like is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. The reason why is Harry, Ron and Hermione break a dozen rules just to make a polyjuice potion.
Wherever they are in the world, if someone says Australia, they usually mention our koalas. Koalas are both unique and adorable, and it's really important that we understand as much as we can about them so that we can protect them from becoming endangered. For example, have you ever wondered why koalas spend so much of their time in eucalyptus trees? Well, today in Science, we're going to explore the relationships between plants and animals, just like the eucalypt and the koala. Here's Jen with more.
Take a moment to think about one of our native animals, the koala. Perhaps you've seen one in the wild or at a conservation park or zoo. Koalas live in eucalyptus forests along the eastern side of Australia. They spend most of their time in eucalyptus trees. In fact, koalas sleep for 18 to 22 hours per day, and mostly during the day. Koalas are nocturnal. When they aren't sleeping, they are usually eating. So why do koalas sleep so much? Well, koalas eat about 1/2 kilogram of eucalyptus leaves per day. Now that's a lot of leaves. However, the eucalyptus oil in the leaves is toxic to their digestive system. It has to work hard to break down the toxins and absorb the nutrients from the leaves. So koalas get very little energy from their diet, which is why they sleep so much. Today, we are going to explore how the relationships between living things, like koalas and eucalyptus trees, influence their survival. We use the term relationship to describe the way things are connected and have an effect on each other. For example, koalas and eucalyptus trees have a relationship. The koala eats the leaf of eucalyptus trees for food, and this allows them to grow and survive. The eucalyptus tree also provides shelter for the koala. It might surprise you to know that by the koala eating its leaves, the eucalyptus tree grows stronger and healthier. So in some relationships like this one, both living things benefit. However, that's not always the case. For instance, some animals trample or squash plants, and some plants are poisonous to animals. That is definitely not good for our animals. Relationships can also exist between two different animals. In predator-prey relationships, the predator catches and eats the prey for food to survive. Let's try to identify relationships between living things in a grassland habitat. Here are some of the living things that are found in the grassland: a mouse, whistling kite, python, grass seeds, spiders, and grasshoppers. To identify relationships, we need to look for the connections between two living things. For example, the mouse eats grass seeds and shelters in the grass. So let's place these things together. We can also draw an arrow between these organisms to show their feeding relationship. So using the arrow, we can see that the grass is food for the mouse. Okay, let's have a look at our other living things. What about the python? Well, the python catches and eats the mouse. This is a predator-prey relationship. We can draw an arrow from the mouse to the python to show that the python eats the mouse. The whistling kite is a bird of prey, so it catches and eats the python. Also, spiders catch and eat grasshoppers, and grasshoppers eat the grass seeds and shelter in the grass. Okay, let's practice with another habitat, the rainforest. The rainforest is made up of a range of living things, including fruiting trees, snakes, flying foxes, bees, moths, and quolls. What relationships can you identify? Flying foxes live in and eat fruit from a fruiting tree. So let's draw this together. Snakes catch and eat flying foxes, and quolls catch and eat moths. Finally, native bees make hives in and take pollen from fruiting trees. Now that we have identified some of the relationships in different habitats, what effect do you think that we have on these relationships? Some human activities can affect feeding relationships in different ways. For example, letting our plastic bags wash into the ocean can kill turtles when they mistake it for a jellyfish. Or, by clearing land, the eucalyptus trees needed by koalas are now no longer providing their food. However, some human activity can benefit relationships of other living things. Aboriginal peoples have a special relationship with plants and animals. While very hot fires can destroy habitats and kill animals and hardy seeds, traditional burning practices use cooler and slower burning fires. These promote seed growth and protect habitats, allowing animals to escape in time. Humans, plants, and animals all benefit in this relationship. Let's look at some of the impacts of human activity in the grassland habitat. In this habitat, humans may clear weeds. This is a positive effect, as it would allow native plants to grow, which would provide a larger food source for other animals. Humans could also remove pythons from the habitat or bring dogs to the area, which can kill pythons. This has another effect in the grassland. If there were fewer pythons, there would be more mice because the python is not catching and eating them. Such a large number of mice in the grassland would eat more grass seeds, which would affect the shelter and food sources available for grasshoppers. And if the grasshoppers don't have enough shelter and food from the grass, they cannot survive. What do you think will happen to our spiders if there's not enough grasshoppers to eat? There will be fewer spiders. So this has a devastating effect on all living things in the grassland habitat. We can see that all living things are interconnected and that by changing just one relationship in a habitat, all other relationships may also be changed. Okay, let's recap what we've learnt today. We now know that there are relationships between plants and animals. Animals can have predator-prey relationships. Humans can impact the relationships between living things. Now it's your turn. This afternoon, why don't you carefully observe your backyard and record 3 relationships between plants and animals. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thank you, kids. You've all been working so hard and concentrating really well. I'm going to say goodbye now because Victoria is joining the upper primary students next. But I'll leave you with another brain break. Bye for now.
G'day guys, Took Millie here from the Gold Coast Suns. Staying active is really important for your health and wellbeing. I want to show you a couple moves you can do in about a 2 by 2 metre space at home to yourself. So grab a footy. If you don't have a footy, grab a tennis ball, whatever type of ball you can get your hands on. And what we're going to do to start off is we're going to be feet about shoulder width apart, and you're going to do a little squat to the floor. And then when you get comfortable doing a squat to the floor, you're going to drop your footy, catch it at the bottom of your squat. So drop the footy, catch it at the bottom of your squat. For your second move, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to do a couple touch drills. So you're going to, again, have your feet about shoulder width apart, ball in your hands, and you're going to go around your back. See how fast you can go. One way, even try the other way, really test yourself, like so. All right, and for our third move, what we're going to do, this is a pretty challenging one, is you're going to balance on one foot. Key is you're going to close your eyes. How long you can do that for? If that's too easy for you, close your eyes, spin the ball in your hands. See how long you can do it for without falling over.